Imagine a world untouched by human hands, where the air is crisp and the land stretches endlessly, wild and unclaimed. The silence is broken only by the gentle rustle of wind through ancient grasses and the distant calls of unseen creatures. This is the world as it was at the very beginning, a blank canvas awaiting the first brushstrokes of humanity. In this vast emptiness, the first humans took their tentative steps, forging a path into the unknown. Every sunrise brought new possibilities, and every shadow hinted at mysteries yet to be discovered. After leaving the paradise of Eden, Adam and Eve entered a world both beautiful and harsh. No longer sheltered, they faced the raw realities of survival, learning to find food, build shelter, and adapt to the rhythms of nature. Their journey was one of both struggle and wonder, as they discovered the world's secrets one day at a time. Into this new world, two sons were born, Cain and Abel. They were the first children of humanity, the first to inherit both the promise and the burden of this new existence. Cain, the firstborn, was a symbol of hope and continuity. His name, meaning acquired, reflected his parents' sense of wonder and gratitude at the miracle of new life. Abel, his younger brother, was given a name that meant breath or vapor, a reminder of life's fleeting nature and the delicate balance between existence and loss. As they grew, the brothers found their own callings. Cain became a farmer, learning to coax life from the stubborn earth, planting seeds and watching them grow. Abel, meanwhile, became a shepherd, guiding his flock through the open fields, caring for the animals that would sustain his family. Together, they embodied the earliest foundations of civilization, agriculture, and animal husbandry. These were the skills that would one day support entire communities and shape the destiny of humankind. Each brother carved out his own path, learning from the land and from each other. They explored the wild world around them, discovering its dangers and its wonders, and slowly mastering the art of survival. In these early days, their story was one of shared experience and cooperation. They worked side by side, united by family and by the challenges they faced. Yet, beneath the surface, subtle differences began to emerge. Quiet tensions and unspoken questions lingered, hinting at a divergence that would one day change everything. The dawn of humanity was not just about beginnings, but about the choices that would shape all who followed. Every decision, every action, set the stage for the unfolding story of mankind. And so, as the sun rose on this new world, the stage was set for a story of hope, struggle, and the timeless search for meaning. A story that would echo through the ages. Cain was a man of the earth, his hands shaped by the soil, his days spent beneath the relentless sun. He knew the rhythm of the seasons, the ache of labor, and the satisfaction of coaxing life from the stubborn ground. Every furrow he plowed, every seed he planted was a testament to his perseverance and grit. Yet the struggle to coax life from the ground was never easy. The earth could be generous, but it could also be harsh and unyielding, demanding sweat and patience in equal measure. For Cain, every harvest was hard-won, a reward for his relentless effort. Abel, in contrast, was a shepherd, guiding his flocks across rolling hills and open meadows. His world was one of movement and gentle care, of watching over his sheep as they grazed and grew. He nurtured life on the move, learning the language of the animals, the subtle signs of nature, and the quiet patience required to protect and provide for his flock. Their professions shaped their perspectives. Cain's rooted in the tangible, the struggle and reward of the earth. Abel's in the living and breathing, the trust and care between shepherd and sheep. Each brother saw the world through the lens of his daily toil. In their world, the divine was near, woven into the fabric of daily life. Gratitude and reverence were expressed through offerings, a sacred act that connected them to something greater than themselves. When the time came to give thanks, Cain brought the fruits of his labor, grains, vegetables, the bounty he had wrested from the earth with his own hands. Abel, meanwhile, chose the choicest firstborn of his flock, the most precious and unblemished lamb, offering it with a heart full of faith and humility. On the surface, both gave from their livelihoods, each presenting what was most valuable from their own world. But beneath the surface, the nature and spirit of their gifts would reveal a crucial difference, one that would echo through history. Their offerings were more than ritual. They were reflections of their hearts, their intentions, and the depth of their faith. This moment would test not just their faith, but their very identities as brothers, as sons, and as men seeking meaning in a world both beautiful and harsh. The act of sacrifice would become the fulcrum on which their destinies turned, a single moment that would set them on paths that could never be reversed. Two brothers, two paths, each about to face the consequences of what they chose to give and how they chose to give it. The world watched as the first great test of the human heart unfolded, a story of choice, sacrifice, and the mysterious ways in which destiny is shaped. In a quiet clearing, two altars stood side by side, one adorned with the fruits of the earth, the other with the finest lamb from the flock. These were not just gifts, but symbols of two brothers' hearts, laid bare before the divine. Abel's offering, given with humility and faith, was met with fire from above, a sign of acceptance. Cain's, though the result of hard labor, was left untouched, the silence echoing louder than words. The difference was not in the outward gift, but in the spirit behind it. One brother gave with a heart full of trust and gratitude, the other perhaps with a sense of duty or resentment. Abel's act was one of reverence, a genuine desire to honor something greater than himself. His gift was his best, offered freely and with love. Cain's offering, though valuable, seemed to lack that same spirit. Was it given out of obligation, or perhaps with a heart holding back? The untouched altar left him questioning his own motives. The silence from above was not just a rejection, but an invitation to look inward. For Cain it stung deeply, awakening feelings of inadequacy and confusion. Disappointment soon gave way to anger. Jealousy and shame clouded his thoughts, and the pain of being overlooked began to fester. He wondered, why was my hard work not enough? Why did my efforts go unseen? The question echoed in his mind, heavy and unresolved. This moment was more than a simple rejection. It was a test of character, a chance to reflect and grow, or to let bitterness take root. Instead of searching his heart, Cain allowed resentment to grow, letting anger cloud his judgment and poison his spirit. The seeds of bitterness sprouted, and the once strong bond between brothers began to unravel, replaced by distance and tension. The story shifted, from offerings on stone to the choices made in the aftermath. What mattered now was not the gift, but the response to disappointment. Cain stood at a crossroads, his next step heavy with consequence, the path ahead uncertain and full of possibility. The first lesson is timeless. It's not just what we give, but the spirit in which we give it. Our intentions, our honesty, and our willingness to give from the heart matter most. In the end, the heart of the giver is the true offering, one that speaks louder than any gift ever could. God spoke to Cain, offering a chance for redemption. Why are you angry? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? Sin, God warned, was crouching at the door, waiting to pounce. But Cain had the power to master it. This was a moment of choice, personal responsibility in the face of temptation. Yet Cain's jealousy overwhelmed him. Abel became a symbol of everything Cain felt he lacked. The beast of envy was unleashed. Cain invited Abel to the field, away from watchful eyes. There, in the solitude, Cain struck, committing the first murder. Human blood was spilled by human hand for the first time. The tragedy was not just in the act, but in the choice to let darkness rule. The story of Cain and Abel became the first warning about the dangers of unchecked emotion. The shadow of divine favor had become a shadow over humanity itself. The field was silent, Abel's life extinguished. God's voice broke the silence. "Where is your brother Abel?" Cain replied, "I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper?" With this, Cain denied responsibility, rejecting the bond of family and community. God's response was swift. "Your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground." The earth itself bore witness to the crime. There was no hiding from the truth. Cain's question, "Am I my brother's keeper?" became a haunting echo through history. The answer was always yes. Our actions and our failures to act shape the world around us. The first murder was not just a personal tragedy, but a wound to all of humanity. The ground itself demanded justice. The story's lesson: we are all responsible for one another. Consequences followed swiftly. God declared Cain cursed and exiled from the land he once worked. The earth would no longer yield for him. He would be a restless wanderer. Cain's punishment was isolation, cut off from home, community, and peace. In despair, Cain feared vengeance from others. Yet God marked him, not for shame, but for protection. Anyone who kills Cain will suffer vengeance 7 times over. The mark was a paradox. Justice and mercy intertwined. Cain was spared from death, but condemned to a life of wandering. His bond with the land and with others was severed. The cycle of violence was halted, if only for a moment. Cain's story became a warning about the cost of broken bonds. East of Eden he wandered, bearing the weight of his choices. The story of Cain and Abel is a timeless lesson in choice and consequence. Cain was not doomed to fail, he was given a choice and a warning. The tragedy was not jealousy itself, but letting it dictate his actions. Comparison poisoned his perspective, turning brotherhood into rivalry. The story warns against letting resentment fester. Our actions ripple outward, affecting not just ourselves but the world. Am I my brother's keeper? The answer is yes. We are responsible for one another. Personal accountability is at the heart of the tale. We cannot always control our feelings, but we can control our responses. The most important battles are within ourselves. The story endures because it speaks to the struggle in every human heart. The choice is always ours, to master the darkness, or let it master us. The story of Cain and Abel echoes in our modern lives. Today, our offerings are social media posts, career achievements, and possessions. We seek approval, compare ourselves, and feel the sting of rejection. Jealousy and resentment still poison relationships, online and off. The digital world magnifies comparison, making it easy to feel overlooked. The path to violence begins with small seeds of bitterness. The story warns us, unresolved conflict can destroy families, communities, and even nations. Am I my brother's keeper? Is more relevant than ever. In a connected world, our responsibility to others is undeniable. The ancient tale asks us, will we build a world of care or one of isolation? Cain and Abel's story is a foundational myth shaping our understanding of good, evil, and justice. Abel's blood crying from the ground is a metaphor for injustice that demands to be heard. The tale shaped law, ethics, and the idea that we are responsible for our community. Cain's exile reflects the cost of breaking social bonds. Yet even in judgment there is mercy. The mark of Cain halts the cycle of revenge. Justice is not always retribution. Sometimes it is tempered by grace. The story endures because it is our story, of jealousy, choice, and the struggle between darkness and light. Civilization is fragile, threatened by the violence within us. But we have the power to choose justice, mercy, and responsibility. The shadow of the first crime lingers, but so does the hope for a better world. The question remains, will we be our brother's keeper?